Lorelei, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. We have a very special guest today. I'm super excited about because one, he's from my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
Two, not far away from where I grew up. He grew up, although he's a West Sider. We talked about it, right, James? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
an East Sider. So, but if you've seen James and seen him on TV, typically East Siders are much tougher than West Siders. But I'm not.
It doesn't look like
But
it from
I'm not going to
here.
get into it with him at all. Not mentally am I going to get into it with him
Yeah.
because that's probably the real big thing is how
Seriously.
smart he is, and not certainly not physically after what we've all seen. But so we have James Canty III with us. How are you?
I'm great. Great to be here. Blessed to have another day, and it's awesome. So good to be here. How are you guys? Thanks
Doing
for having me.
great, doing
Mm-hmm.
great. When so I hardly ever watch TV, but I do watch 60 Minutes. And so this comes on, and I see this Czech boxing thing, and I'm like, "What's this?" I'm probably gonna shut it off. But I'd rather, in the beginning at least, focus on your background. That is more really, particularly. I'll speak for myself, where I grew up. To see someone such as yourself um, accomplish what you've accomplished and how you went about it. I saw a quote when you were young, I think 7 or 8, and you're like, "I just wasn't good enough to win." I mean, that says a lot about your mentality, even as a young kid. I know I wouldn't have had that wherewithal, and to I can't imagine just I played sports, but figuring out the strategy around chess is a
Mm-hmm.
whole nother ball game. But so maybe you can just tell us a little bit about how you I read it, but tell the audience how you got into chess, and then we'll kind of go from there. And it's morphed into probably something you didn't even think it would as well.
Yeah, it's correct. I never thought it would go this far. In fact, with chess just being a game, my dad's like, yeah, something I taught my son is now basically a living and how I do things around here. And I have a name for myself. So, chess started. I was started around 7, 8 years old. Dad taught me how to play chess. Well, being from Detroit, basically you can get into a lot of mischief and a lot of crazy stuff. So my friends or so-called friends, basically a lot of them aren't here anymore or are incarcerated. So my father knew that if I was playing chess with him or going to the chess club, he knew where I was. So it was kind of a thing to keep me grounded and keep me in the house playing chess and stuff like that. And I liked it. I liked the game a lot. And they had a chess club at the mall, so he would drop me off. It's Universal Mall is the name of it. So it's not there anymore off of DeQuinder Road. It used to be all the Kingsmen was the name of the chess club. Rest in peace, Ed Mandel just passed away last year, who was a founder of the club. But I was playing chess there all the time. Like my dad would drop me off on Saturdays sometimes. Usually during the week, obviously you have school, so sometimes I would make it up there during the week. But definitely on weekends, Saturday and Sunday, I would be there from like 12 noon to like 1 in the morning, and one of the guys would bring me back home that stayed across around us. So shout out to Glenn Barnett. But he would take me home a lot of times, and a few others too as well. Or sometimes my dad would pick me up. Then when I was old enough to drive, I was able to drive myself home and stuff. But yeah, he taught me how to play, and I just loved the game. Basically, he would always, even my sons now and people I play chess with as kids or people that are teaching kids in chess, I tell them, do not let them win. Crush them every game, and that's what my dad did to me. Because when I won that first game, I earned it, and I also felt a sense of like, wow, I worked so hard for this. It took like 2 years to finally beat him one game, So it helped a lot. Learning how to play chess. Chess is a game of life too, as well. Making next move a chess move. They always say that. So it was nice. Again, my dad taught me how to play, and I really loved the game. I had a love and a passion for it, and it was fun. I would study books, chess books, coming home from school. I play sports too as well, but I just really you have to anything to get good or great at anything. You got to have some type of obsession and passion for it to just get home and study chess books after having a long day of school and the homework. I'm like watching chess and studying chess books. So that was my story there. Then I was able to beat my dad when I was around 8 or 9 years old. That helped a lot. Gave me a confidence boost. Chess club in school, I wasn't good enough. So I was good. I was like average, not even. But I remember playing games and losing a lot of them. And then what the big kind of push for me, what happened is when I started getting good, is I remember there was a nationals that still happens every year. And I wasn't good enough to go to the nationals. They was taking like the top 5 or 6 guys from the team. And the coach was like, "Hey, your son's just not good enough," basically, type of thing. We take, they pay for everything, kind of thing. So my dad didn't like that a lot. So he would wake me up every morning, like during the summertime, and we would get up at like 7 or 8 in the morning and play chess. And
Wow.
I'm like, I don't want to get up and play chess, bro, at this time in the morning. But we was playing chess from like 7 or 8 to like noon every day. And then I went back to school and I was the best player on the team, only to losing to the coach. At the time, rest in peace, Harold Steen. But so yeah, that was my story there. I just fell in love with the game and kept studying it and grinding, and then now I'm where I am now.
Wow.
Well, what's fascinating about it too is it's funny when he said, "I want to win and pound and do whatever." That's a Detroit thing, I think. More than I've traveled all over the country. I laugh, and some of it's maybe just where we grew up, because like you, a lot of the folks I grew up with are either in jail or no longer around either. I think people don't realize, unless you have a good role model or something you fall in love with, it's easy to go the other way. So,
Right.
that says a lot about you and your parents as well, and the people around you at school. And I think too, just having the confidence to keep moving forward when your dad was still beating you says a lot as well, because most kids would just get down, right?
I think this day and time changes. I don't know what it is about kids these days. Like, they give up a lot. So with me, I guess I just wasn't giving up. I wanted to keep playing. I think my dad made it fun, and I was around family, and like I really wanted to win, and it was cool. So I think the environment is important, because a lot of people do give up, especially if you're losing every time, all the time, and not learning. I think my dad was kind of teaching me a little bit too. And I would read chess books, and so I never gave up. And of course, I guess as you mentioned, it is a lot of being from Detroit. It's just we're not giving anything. They don't give us nothing. You have to work hard for everything. And so, it was the same thing when I got that win. It was big. It was big because I worked very hard for it. It took a long time, took years, and finally beat him. And my dad would say, I knew he was getting better because, he would only beat me one game. Then he would beat me 2 out of 5. Then he was beating me, 3 out of 5. Then we would break even or something like that. And then it was a chance when it was a time where I got to a level where he couldn't beat me anymore.
Wow. That's a huge lesson in resilience, I feel like, and such a great, you kind of equated, you learn chess, but chess is also it relates to life. And so I feel like not giving up, that resilience to keep going even when you're losing, is such a great life skill, and probably helped because I didn't grow up in an aggressive area like Detroit, but I will just say, like, most of the time kids that were playing chess, like, people made fun of those kids. And so even more so, I'm sure, in Detroit, when it's like your friends are probably doing things that are a lot more dangerous, considered, I don't know, hard or cool or whatever those things are. Like, was there a lot of pressure from friends of like, why are you so into this thing? Or like, what was that like to kind of go against maybe a culture that your friends were maybe doing?
People for me, like I was sort of like a cool nerd, I guess, or whatever. Like, I was cool with everyone. So for me, you know, it was just not. I didn't have any problems or bullying or anything like that. I was just a cool dude because I was cool with everyone. I think so. But they were like, "Oh, he plays chess. That's not. It's not very. So boring." Or they would say it's boring or smart. My sister says playing chess is like watching grass grow. So she's not. She's like some people just never interested ever. And that's okay and that's fine. So it's but I never had any problems with that. I think even this day and time too as well. When people ask, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a pro chess player, and like they look and they're like chess, like they, it's always a dip because of how I look. Like I got tattoos, I lift weights, I box, I'm trading, and last thing they thinking is a chess player, or as the first thing is profession. So. It's cool. It's very cool. I think I changed the stereotype of chess players. I think they're looking for like a nerd type of guy with suspenders and glasses playing chess. That's what they think, but then they realize that really anyone can play this game. And also, I'm big on like teaching girls. When I have young girls that I teach, that are kids, I always try to instill in them because it is a male dominant game. You can beat these guys. Don't let them intimidate you. And this is a game. It's not about how strong you are. It's about your brain and your mind. And so I have really helped that. And there's also a lot of women in chess that are really strong. So I try to cater that and try to let them see the stronger women in chess, so it gets motivating for them, so they can continue to play the game. And also people of color too, that are young kids that look up to me. I do the same thing for them, so they understand that, hey, at the top, there's not a lot of black guys there, and that's just how it is. It's always been like that. So I am a title player out here that is really strong, that is going for some of the strongest titles in chess. And also, you can do it too as well. So I get a lot of messages about that. Like, hey man, we're looking up to you. My son looks up to you, stuff like that. So it's cool because it's millions of people that play chess and watch chess, but it's not like a basketball or football, or at least we don't look that way. We don't look that way. I think I break a lot of stereotypes with that. So, but chess
Sure.
is
So cool.
now getting cooler, especially after Queen's Gambit came out. The Netflix series. When that came out, you couldn't even buy a chessboard off Amazon, which is incredible.
Wow.
500% increase. And that's the first time ever when you can never buy a chessboard anywhere because of Queen's Gambit, because chess, was cool then. And it's still cooler now. People know it's a brain sport and stuff like that. So they're like, oh, you chess? Oh, you're smart. That's the first thing they think, which is technically kind of true. It's not like just because you play chess doesn't make you very, very smart. There is some smart tendencies and smart things you do, but a lot of times, there's some people that make some very dumb decisions as chess players and stuff like that. So,
well, yeah, starting as a young kid, being a black man as well, I think is crucial to help promoting the sport, particularly in the African American community, let alone those kids who probably did get made fun of. But you've gone on too, and we'll talk more about it. You I'll probably pronounce it wrong. You're FIDE Master.
FIDE Master, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to call it FIDE Master.
Right.
So,
Well,
I didn't know either.
That's what I thought it was too. I had to look it up to make sure I pronounced it. Look, I didn't even know that chess was tied to France as much as it is. And you're streaming entrepreneur. You have a children's book that's come out. Like you said, you're promoting it with females, and I just think that's your ability to do that breaks a lot of barriers down, and I think is good for the game.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I just want people to understand that chess is not a lame person game. Of course, some people like underwater basket weaving, whatever that is, all that other stuff, and like knitting. Listen, that's not my thing, but it is what it is. Like, people like what they like. So, chess, I try to make chess very cool. I think that was a lane that I actually just kind of created in a way. When you look at chess content online and chess streaming and chess like that, it's not very easy. It's not very, like, I remember one guy, and shout out to Roman. His last name is pronounced like Gingy Hashvili. He's from Georgia, the country, not the state. And, I always make jokes of like, yeah, Roman DZ slapped the keyboard. And I always say that because, you can literally do this like in real time if you're watching and listening and you want to know who I'm talking about. His Roman, put space on Google, type in DZ, slap the keyboard. Just don't even care what the keys are. Then put chess next to it, and Google's always going to say, did you mean Roman Gingy Hashvili chess, right? It happens every time, right? But I remember he was one of the guys I used to watch all the time when chess content was just kind of coming up on the internet. And he would be talking it'd be so boring. Like, shout out to Roman. He's a great coach. But he'd be like, and the knight goes to f6, and then you go e4, and then you go a6. And I'm like, bro, listen to that for an hour. I'm going to fall asleep. And I did many times. And I have to keep watching the video over because it's just boring, But you can get a lot of information from it. But I learned that, you have to stimulate the brain. In fact, when internet and things came out like YouTube as well, the attention span drops for people, period. So if you look at the statistics of that, you have to get people's attention in like the first 5 to 10 seconds for them to stick with a video. So with that being said, like I had a natural inclination to be social and have fun all the way. That's just how I came up. That's how I grew up, always around, just fun stuff. So chess was the same way. I come from a trash talking clan of like a whole, group of guys calling each other, you baby, when they make a move, you're a baby, and then just talking all types of trash to them with music playing in the background while we vibing and playing chess. This is how the old heads used to do it at the chess club, playing Blitz for hours. Blitz was just fast chess. And having a good time. So that's how I'm used to doing it. So when I'm playing Blitz or I'm streaming, I'm doing the same thing. I got music in the background. We're playing beats. If I'm teaching, I'm doing the same thing. I'm keeping it nice. I'm keeping it fun. I'm like, hey, white to move. What do you think this is? You said that move? That is not right. You're garbage. And then I'll keep going. And then I'll tell them why it's correct. And then I'll tell them keep trying. Blah, blah, blah. But it's also they're laughing and they're learning at the same time. So that's how I teach and that's how I do it. And that's how I learn to do it myself, basically. So it's fun. It's a lot to it, a lot of lanes that I discovered with chess. And, continuing to help others grow and get better at the game.
So you go to this, you finally make the chess team. You go to this event in Arizona. You go undefeated. You win the championship. And then I mean, from there, how do you go about getting, becoming a FIDE master, and then, continuing to grow within the chess world? And then I'm fascinated to know how you go from that to this chess boxing thing, which I would have never thought about, which looks really cool.
Yeah.
But the two don't seem aligned until I can't remember where I saw the quote when I was doing research, but it said chess is a battle on the board and boxing is chess with your body.
With your body, yeah.
And I thought, okay, that now it makes sense.
Yeah, I became a national master, which is like, well, I mean, a very small percentage in the world even ever hit this title. I hit
Yep.
that in high school as just again through training and just being passionate about the game. Then you start realizing you gotta, this stuff is not cheap. Like, I realized as soon as I got out of high school, I'm like, they're not paying for anything. So you basically all you see this a lot with strong kids is they either go off to college or military or something with schooling and start realizing you have to pay for things. Their dad and mom don't pay for it anymore and the schools don't pay for it anymore. So you had to pay for things. So that was my little period of time. Went to the military with the Air Force, and I was just learning. Yeah, okay, you got to pay bills now. You have to grow up. So, but chess was not paying anything, and it kind of sucked because I wanted to continue to play chess, but there was nothing in it. No money in it at the time, basically. And then 2014 rolls around. And at 2014 was when there was this. I was working in Atlanta, Georgia, and when I was in Atlanta, there was this flyer about a tournament called the Millionaire Chess Open. And this one, I was like, whoa, that's big. What's the prize fund? And the prize fund for my section, which was the open section, like the big section where all the masters and grandmasters play and stuff like that. So, but if I do the best around my rating range, I still, not in the entire section, but in the section, but a section in the section, basically. So in a rating range, if your rating is around here, let's say, for instance, there's guys 25, 2600, 2700 rated, which is some of the highest levels in chess. If you're around a little bit lower than that, 23, 2400 ish, there's prizes for you too, depending upon how good you do in that section against all of these strong players. So I was like, there's a class prize is what they call it. And I was like, well, I can win 40,000 for first place. And I was like, that is crazy money. So I remember that year I sold my Xbox and my TV because I knew I was going to. I played 2K every day, like 2K, the NBA one. 2K14, I was dropping 100 points with Melo every game, like just and playing on my career. I'm just like not doing and living life. Just being a young 20s, early 20s, stuff like that. And so I'm like, just having a good time and like living life, playing chess, stuff like that. Trying to play chess online generally, but I saw that tournament and I was like, I can lock in, but I'm spending 5 hours every day at some point after work. Usually I'll get off work late. I'll play till like 6 in the morning because I was working nights.
wow.
And then I would go to sleep and then, wake up and do whatever. But it was, I was like, yeah, I have to sell this because I could use that same time to study. So I did. I sold the Xbox and the TV and it definitely hurt because I was playing it every day and using it, but I got rid of them both and I just got my board and I got some books, which was Chess Openers for White and Black Explained, which is by Roman DZ Slap the Keyboard, aka Roman Genji Philly, and Forcing Chess Moves, which is a huge book that I still teach tons of students today. I tell them I've read this book 8 or 9 times. I have like a college course when it comes to tactical training. And you graduate from this book, you go to this book. When you finish this book, you go to this next one up until a big book that's like a PhD worth of tactical study. So it's more of I was studying Forcing Chess Moves. I went down there in September and I did so good. I got second place in that section.
Wow.
I should have gotten. I always say, I have a YouTube video on this exact moment on this game where I was like, this is the most expensive game I ever played in my life. Where I said Knight H4. I always tell people I still wake up and have cold sweats and say Knight H4. Waking up in my sleep. Because even though I'm just making a joke about it, but like I remember the pain of like knowing if I would have played Knight H4, I would have won $40,000. But I played Rook G1, end up losing a game, and then I win 20,000. I still win 20K, but Knight H4, I'm winning an extra 20, right?
Double.
So huge payday that I missed out on, which of course, I remember why and all this other stuff and stuff like that. So 2014 was a big year. I'm like, wow, there is some money in chess, but still it wasn't, I thought it was through playing, which of course it can be, but you have to win lots of tournaments and that's not very sustainable. So after that, it was more of, learning, still working, and I'm like, okay, where's the chess money really going to come from? So it took a few years to figure out where that was coming from. I made FIDE Master around 2015-ish, I think, maybe 2016. Didn't even know that I hit it. Me being from Detroit, Michigan, It depends on where you're from. Like with nowadays, it's a good place. America's in a good place when it comes to like raising up masters and how to actually get to the rankings of IM International Master, Grandmaster. The highest
Mhm.
titles in chess: Grandmaster, International Master, FIDE Master. Basically, those are the top three. In order is FIDE, IM, and GM. But there was no way of knowing basically from Detroit, Michigan, because it's not a chess state. It's not a
Mm.
Yep.
chess city or nothing. So this is why I'm like 20 years old. Kids are making GM 18, less than that. Between a
Wow.
range between sometimes 14 to early 20s. You can
Wow.
hit that GM very quickly. I've seen it a lot. It happens a lot. I think the youngest GM is around 12, 13 years old, something like that. So, but that's they know funding, they know the system, they have funding behind them. Because this
Mhm.
costs thousands of dollars. In fact, the youngest GM, Mishra Abimanyu, was saying at one point, he was like, "Yeah, his father spent about $100,000
Oh my
on when it
goodness.
came to like
Wow.
tournaments, where you gonna play, where you going, what are you gonna eat, hotel, flights, right? All
Mhm.
this. The chess is not one where you just get the money. Like you got to pay out of pocket for this stuff and the entry fee, only to not even get prize money in some of these tournaments, right? So it's really really tough, if you don't have funding and stuff like that. So being from Detroit, Michigan, there is no funding like that as an adult. You don't have anything like that. You have to go get it yourself, and
Mhm.
they don't even tell you how to do it in the system wise, basically of how to reach the rankings. So I'm like in my early 20s. I play a tournament where young's Hans Niemann is there. Shout out to Hans, but he was a FIDE master at the time. He was a very strong kid. And I remember I played in this section, or maybe no, actually from the Millionaire Chess Open was where I got my first FIDE rating, aka FIDE. Where I used to call it FIDE. I'm like, I don't care nothing about this FIDE rating. I didn't even know that is the rating you need. No other rating matters. The FIDE rating is the international rating of all chess players. So if you have a FIDE rating, that's better than having. You can have the highest USCF rating in history. It could be 9,000, even though they don't even go that high. The highest is like 2,900. It was Magnus or something, But it could be 9,000, and you could be zero FIDE rated, and you would not be considered anything. Even though your USCF rating is 9,000, the best recorded ever in history, doesn't
Wow.
matter. So FIDE is where it's at, and I didn't notice. So I was already a national master, and I started thinking like, man, I wish if I was a kid, or if I would have knew about these FIDE rated tournaments as a kid. I had 100 and something tournaments I played in as a kid. So growing up through the ranks. So when I'm an adult, I'm like, man, I'm just now getting a FIDE rating. I was like 21, and my first rating was 2353, which is 50 points less, 47, before hitting the international master title. Was my first FIDE rating. So had a very strong rating. I was able to claim FIDE master. Didn't even know I could claim it until 2021 or something. So
Wow.
not
Wow.
understanding the pathway. FIDE is the only way. Then you need to play in tournaments, and then you need to score certain ranks and certain things in tournaments and get norms, as they call it, and then you can get the title. I'm like, well, finally, I know I'm an adult, like with some kids now. Like this is crazy, but it's still possible, and things are, people are hitting. I've seen GMs hit, GM. Shout out to Ben Feingold from Michigan, who at one point he used to be he was Michigan number one for a very long time. Then he went overseas, and like he hit GM around 40ish, something like that. So
Okay.
you can still do it, but it's definitely, you have to understand, you got to be strategic and stuff like that too
Mhm.
as well. So that's when I hit FIDE Master, and then now back transitioning back into, like, for chess. For me, I learned how to create income through chess and a brand through chess streaming. That came around 2018. 2018 was a big year because that's when I first started streaming. I just want to make money through chess. Like, I love this game. How can I make something from it? So I was doing lessons, and on top of lessons, I was doing streaming, which streaming took a lot of time. I grew a big following online. I don't stream as much anymore. I used to stream every night, but I have kids now. It's not easy to stream every night. Plus, I don't have to do it every night. I can just stream kind of when I want to. Stream events, create content on YouTube. I think Levy, shout out to Gotham Chess, who's created a lane for us to be able, for chess players to just throw stuff out there. I mean, he got, I don't know, close to maybe 6-7 million views right now, or
Wow.
Wow.
subscribers, that is. So he's killing it in the game there. So he's paving a way for us, basically, which is nice. So I use that. I also use Instagram. I'm almost at 130,000 followers on Instagram. So that's growing. That's probably my biggest right now, besides Twitch and YouTube. So it just didn't know that it would be as big as it is now. And then boxing. They always say the mind and body is, as your mind deteriorates, so does the body, and that comes from Bobby Fischer. So having boxing, where this came about is I was already working out, so I'll be at the gym, and like I'll be lifting heavy weight, which I don't lift super heavy anymore because I'm boxing, and like it's I even Arnold Schwarzenegger had a quote where he said, "If I could go back, I would never lift as heavy as I did because when you get older, it hurts the joints and etc. And that pressure that you've done. So now I'm more into like lighter weight with a lot of reps. Still doing compound exercises like bench press, deadlift, and squats and stuff like that. But I got into boxing around 2026, so 2023. I got into boxing. Shout out to Matt Thomas, who was the first USA world champion in boxing, chess boxing. And he was like, "Yo, you should do chess boxing." I'm like, "I heard of it. It sounds cool." And I went to a demonstration um, where we were out there with creators, and they were like doing some chess fit. It wasn't chess boxing, just hold mitts and watching them hit the mitts and then play chess, basically, because we don't have sanction. They can't be hitting each other. So we did mitts, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." Like when I got back, it was like I forgot what month it was, but when I got back home, I was like, all right, let me just get into boxing, and just like I signed up for the nearest gym, which was Gold's Gym. Went to the first boxing class, and it killed me. I'm like, this is different.
It's really hard.
This is not the same as just lifting weights and like getting in there and doing some cardio on the stairmaster or running on the treadmill. I was like, this is crazy. Like boxing is different, and I like the fact that it killed me like that. I was exhausted. I was tired. I couldn't get the feet right. How do you throw a jab? How do you throw the punches? The punches. Why do I have to like? It's so much to think about while you're trying to fight. And I'm like, this is exhausting. Like this is crazy that people actually. So I have so much respect for the boxers I've watched after I first started boxing, and I still do have so much respect for these guys because I was like, wow, you never know. That'd be the longest 3 minutes of your life, or like even I even said that too. It was like the longest 3 minutes of my life when I did that fight when I was in Serbia out there. I was like, I was fighting for my life out there because my cardio is better now than it was then because I was doing enough cardio. But I was like, oh, this is different. When you're really fighting because the adrenaline's running and lights are on you, people watching, he really trying to kill you in the ring. That's different. So, but boxing, it was chess boxing been around like 20 years, so people don't really know that. It's just now getting some real traction, but it's been around like 20 years. And the reason why they do it, they're like, how is chess and boxing a thing? And it's, as you mentioned, chess with the body, chess with the mind, chess in the brain. So they say it's brains and brawn kind of thing. So it's definitely different because, you can get hurt or get hit too many times and, your chest will be affected. So it's different. It's different. But I got into boxing and I told Matt, I'm like, man, I fell in love with boxing after I started boxing at Gold's Gym. Then after Gold's Gym, I ended up moving somewhere else where I was like, where's boxing at? Found this place called Legends Boxing. Shout out to Legends. Legends closed down where we are, but now we have a new place called Landshark MMA where I'm a coach at as well. So I'm a boxing coach, and I also box and spar with them guys. So shout out to Luke and MMA. So Landshark MMA, those are my boys over there. But I got with them. I got with Legends Boxing, and they taught me, everything from the ones to the tens, like punches. There's numbers to your punches, basically. 1, 2, 3. When you ever hear that, that's a legit thing. All the way down to number 10. Footwork. I learned everything boxing. Started watching boxing. Was going to class every day at one point, and then I was really into it. Then I told Matt, "Yo, one day, bro, I want to be a world champ in boxing, chess boxing. Love this stuff." And so I started sparring. Sparring was different. It's completely different. Mike Tyson has a quote where he says, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. And that is legit. Yes. If you've never been punched before or someone threw a punch at you, you even have to know how to react from a punch and not flinch. Even blinking like that is, it takes time to not even blink. When I get punched now, I don't blink, so it happens to me. If you get hit in the nose, obviously, yes, but it's different when actually hands are being thrown at you. Bag work, cool. Mid work, cool. When someone's throwing punches at you, that's a completely different game, right? So I learned a lot of that from sparring and just spending time and like having some smokers where we actually are kind of exhibitionists. It's really real stuff. They will try to beat you up. So I was cool. I got into boxing. I was like, yeah, I really want to take it serious and be a chess boxing world champ. And so I trained for like 2 years, not even knowing it was going to come up like this, but I trained 2023. I trained all of 2024 training, and I was ready for chess boxing 2025. Chess part was easy. Like I was playing, I played so many games. I mean, I tell people, listen, I played a game. I remember waking up mad because I lost the game in my sleep. And I was like, bro, it's not even real. Like the game didn't even happen, but I woke up pissed. Right. So I was like, okay, well, the chess part's easy, but the boxing part is the harder part. So had to learn
and
that.
I think people too to your point, this has been around 20 years because it started I had to look it up in 2003
2000,
in Berlin. And then I had no idea that the Paris Olympics did an exhibition
exhibition. Yeah.
match in this. So now you have 18 countries in this,
Mhm.
and I think it's even more cool for those that are from Detroit. For those of us that are listening that are not from there, James knows this, but it's Joe Lewis's hometown.
Yeah.
Tommy Hearns' hometown.
Tommy Hearns, yeah.
Right? Kronk boxing. I mean, there's a big history there. And we haven't had anybody successful really since Tommy Hearns.
Yeah.
And then you come around and you have this chess side that is, you have to be incredibly quick and intelligent to play. And then you decide to box, but you decide to box in the super heavyweight.
Super heavyweight. Yeah. And I didn't have a chance
anything
because my
happened.
weight. I'm like 230. Well, now I'm cutting down because those are big boys. Okay. But also, I mean, I can only cut down to probably 200, 215-ish, we're still big boys, but they not as big as the other big boys. Like the guy I fought the first round, if you go watch it back, he's from Kazakhstan. Didn't know this. He had 20 years of boxing experience. So I'm like, didn't even know this. And I'm glad they didn't tell me because that would have scared you a little bit, But
Yeah.
I go in there and like, one of the guys, we game plan and he like, yeah, man, body shots. I'm like, okay, cool. Sounds great. Right? Everything sounds great. I get into the ring with him. I remember doing a roll, keeping my hand up, tapping his stomach, and he didn't budge. And I was like, oh my goodness. Gotta abort the plan. Because he's not moving. The body shot didn't work. So we have to do something else. So I'm moving around the ring. I'm fighting. I'm blocking shots. I'm very good with head movement. In fact, they mentioned that very elusive, but that's because I watch guys and emulate it. Canelo. I like Tyson. I like Terrence Crawford, Shakur Stevenson. These are people, and then David Benavidez. These are boxers I actually studied to see kind of what can I emulate, what can I take from them, basically. So a lot of head movement, but being quick with hands. I'm supposed to be, clinically from the doctor, like 180, 190. So I just put on a lot of muscle, from like lifting weights. I love lifting weights, eating protein, eggs, chicken, rice, like understanding the bodybuilder type of diet stuff. So I have quickness still and then put on size. So I was able to drop him in like the first round, which is awesome. Like I caught him with a right cross, a two basically. I was backing up, I was missing some punches he threw at me, caught him with a quick two and he drops. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like I actually floored him. And this guy is like he felt like he was 6'7", but he was probably like 6'3", 6'4". I mean, I'm 5'8", so being still 6'2", 6'3" is huge, and he weighed 260 pounds. Like, so I was like, why is he fighting? Like, why do you have him here? Like, so he was so big, and then, but I was able to drop him, and I won in the chest portions on both matches, and then in the second one, I fought the Russian guy who was trying to take my head off with his right hooks. He had some mean hooks, bro. And I remember dipping under him.
Watching that was petrifying.
Man, me too. I'm like, if I get caught one time the wrong way, it's a wrap in front of everyone.
Done.
It's over. But I remember ducking, getting up. He couldn't catch me when I would slip to my right side or his left, and I would come up and hit him with a few, get out the way, block, but it takes a lot of energy too as well. So that one of my goals was to cut down, do a cardio basically every day, just cutting down to be slimmer, to be more elusive, and still have good range, and then also more sparring and stuff like that. So I'm not going to hang it up yet, but world champ, I'm probably just going to go and I'm a world champ. I don't have to do this again. Okay. I could just go down there and help train others and and that's probably the goal because I have other stuff to do and I do have kids and stuff. So I'm not trying to be out here, trying to go 100 times to defend this title.
You still have this room to grow within chess to GM.
Right.
And it's got to be hard to, your final match that you won the championship in is like a movie, right?
Yeah.
Against the Russians who you don't like.
That
super heheavyweight guy who looks like monstrous compared to you. And you win, and then it makes national news. And plus your whole background, what a great guy you are in general. Just it's gonna be hard to beat that, but you probably will. Whatever the next adventure is that you're gonna do. What are you thinking of doing now?
Next thing is just hitting the Grandmaster title on paper. So, I frequently beat a lot of strong players. It comes through lots of experience and confidence. I've had tournaments where I was very close. Like I had an IM norm performance where I needed 7 out of 9. I literally got 6.5. So half a point away. I get second place in the section, but I'm like, I didn't get that half point. So it's about being selective about tournaments and not giving up, basically. Not giving up. I've been the same way through everything. hitting the FIDE Master, getting that 20,000, playing chess, getting bigger and better in fitness, get bigger and better in life, learning certain openings. So, this is no different for me. And I've been very,
Mhm.
very close. I've had tournaments where I played one of my best GM type of tournaments was playing against four grandmasters in the same tournament. And I got 2 out of 4 basically. So
Wow.
I got 2 draws, 1 loss, and 1 win. So showing that, if you could do that against that level, which is the highest opposition, you're supposed to technically, if you're not a GM, lose every game against the best of the best, right? But I was able to hold my own to score 50%. 2 draws, one of them I was winning in, so it could have been, a little bit higher, 1.5 or what did I get? 2, so maybe 2.5 or something like that. But I ended up getting 2, which is draws. You split the point. I didn't win, I didn't lose. Same with him. We still get half a point for that. So, and I was playing on an incredible level. I ended up kind of messing up towards the end, where I lost a few games that messed up my norm performance, but I was playing out of my mind the first 4 or 5 rounds there. Where so it's and this was 2022, so I'm only getting better. Like I was trained,
Wow.
I train, and you just wait for the opportunity. And when that opportunity presents itself, you need to be ready for it. But that just comes from, they always say the overnight success type of people that blow up, and they're like, yeah, well, not really. I was doing this for
Yeah.
7 years, had this opportunity, now I'm a household name type of thing,
Mhm.
right? So it's the same thing here.
It's amazing the like I love we've talked about how you're breaking stereotypes in a lot of different arenas, which is so cool. I even think like chess boxing is breaking stereotypes. Like
Yeah.
I joke that, growing up, you're often told like, well, you can only be in music or you can only be an athlete. I did both. And so that felt like a feat. I feel like chess boxing is the same thing. Like you can either be a brain or you can be a brawn, but actually it's both. And people can be successful in both. So you're breaking stereotypes, but along the way, I feel like you're teaching amazing life lessons of self-resilience and self-discipline, resilience, like passion, which is so cool to then impart that to the next generation as a coach. And so I would just love to hear, I know we're kind of close, but I would love to hear like maybe what's your favorite part about sharing this with the next generation?
Yeah, I am actually happy to do that already. So through my content online, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, I also give lessons as well. I coach, even coaching boxing when they offer me, hey man, could you do some boxing classes for us? You've been here since like for 2 3 years. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, like of course. And they always say teaching is learning twice. So when you're teaching and
Mhm.
it's you're learning it again. I'm also teaching, I trade in the foreign exchange market a lot. I only trade futures, but this was my search say eat, sleep, trade, repeat, right? So, trading. The only reason why I got into it is because a friend of mine made like $20,000 in 3 minutes, and I was like, "What are you doing? I don't know. Is it legal? What you're doing?" And then I figured out it was, and I was like, "Well, what is this trading thing?" So then lost money for like 4 years, and now finally a profitable trader. Learning
Wow.
discipline and
Amazing.
learning how to do it. But chess and trading, like it goes hand in hand. A lot of bit of discipline, patience, and control, and things like that. So I'm teaching, trading, I'm teaching boxing, I'm teaching chess. So, it helps. Teaching is learning twice, so I'm always able to teach others on that. And also how to master yourself and your emotions. So I like to teach
Mhm.
too as well. But yeah, I like to just put out content in hopes that people at home will be able to watch content. I remember one thing I never forgot about streaming. Well, one guy was like, I'm going through a hard time right now. And he was like, I almost ended it all, but your streams kept me here, bro. And I was like, wow,
Wow.
that's crazy. They're like, you never know what you're
Wow.
doing
Mhm.
or who you're doing this for. And then,
Yeah.
that type of thing, you never forget. So you want to continue putting out that type of content to make people feel good and smile and stuff like that, getting them through hard times. Had another guy that, I'm in the hospital for whatever, blah, blah, blah. I had surgery. I'm here watching the streams or I'm here watching your content every day. I'm like, that's awesome. Glad, I'm going to keep pumping it and hoping that in hopes that you get better too as well. So yeah, it's just pushing it out there and hoping that they get it and hoping that they learn from it. And yeah, I'm gonna continue to keep doing that. So
So cool. Well, we have two questions we ask every single guest before we close out. You have amazing wisdom you've shared with us already, but I would love to know like what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
that's a good question. Best piece of advice I've ever been given. Yeah, honestly, trust God. Just trust and have faith. That was basically I got this from my mother. Very religious. We grew up in church. We go to church every Sunday. So yeah, just trust God. Basically, that's what it is, and trust everything will be because you can worry about a lot. There's a lot to worry about. A lot to worry
Mhm.
about on a daily basis, right? And even me, I have to continuously tell myself that. That's on my vision board right now. Actually, a vision board for 2026 is more trust in God. So.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And then what book or movie or both do you recommend that everyone has to see or read before they die?
That's kind of crazy because, I'm a chess player. So I'm like Forcing Chess Moves by Charles Hurtan. But they like, I don't play chess. I'm not even on that level. So, if you are, or if you want to open the book, totally understandable. That's Forcing Chess Moves. That one is my all-time favorite, actually. And then in trading, I am a trader. So, One Good Trade, I think, is a great book too, as well. And then also, boxing wise, I'm not gonna lie, the Creed series, all of those are great, man.
Yes,
So
they are.
Absolutely.
they are good. All three of them movies were amazing. So
Mhm.
yeah, definitely watching Creed. Creed, One Good Trade by SMB Capital, the hedge fund over there, the big boys, and then Forcing Chess Moves. So I got one for every niche there.
I love it. It's awesome.
Well, James, I'm I said to you when we talked on the phone, and I'm there in April, so I hope I can get to meet you in April in person and take you out and learn more from you. I think if anything, definitely a role model, right? Particularly for kids like myself and like James that grew up in the areas that we grew up in, particularly for young black men in particular, or people of color in general. Just opens a whole world of possibilities you can see. But more importantly than that, and I could sense a little bit on the phone with him, but now you meet him in person. You obviously did a lot of research. You seem like just a good, authentic human being.
Mm-hmm.
And that, more than anything, I think says a lot about you and your parents as well. So, so glad that you could join us. I do really hope I get to meet you in person when I'm in Detroit often, and I'm going to make it a point to try and work in somewhere where I can meet you on your schedule. So I'm sure you're out and about all the time.
Sounds good. Yeah, just let me know, and then I'll schedule it in, and we'll get something going, man. Thanks for having me.
Love
God
it.
bless. Take care. Thank you.
Yeah, have a great rest of your day.